This prison is so feared that some inmates beg never to be transferred here. Angola Prison. Men don't count years. They count funerals. Every morning the sun rises over fields worked by men who already know how their lives will end. Inside these walls, under this sky, on this land that never lets go. Angola Prison is not just a facility. It is a place with gravity. Once you enter, everything slows, bends, and eventually settles into permanence. Located on 18,000 acres of former plantation land along a bend of the Mississippi River, the Louisiana State Penitentiary is the largest maximum security prison in the United States. From the air, it looks almost peaceful. Green fields, dirt roads, and scattered buildings laid out like a rural town. But that calm hides a truth that inmates learn quickly. Angola is built to hold men until death. The name itself carries history. Long before razor wire and guard towers, this land was a plantation worked by enslaved Africans brought from Angola. After the Civil War, the state of Louisiana acquired the land and continued the same system under a different name. Convict leasing replaced slavery, forcing mostly black prisoners to work the fields under armed supervision. The uniforms changed, but the structure remained. Angola did not become what it is by accident. It evolved from a system designed to extract labor and discard lives. Today, more than 5,000 men live here. Over 70% are serving life sentences with no possibility of parole. For many, Angola is not a stop along the journey. It is the final destination. The phrase, doing time, means something different here. Time does not pass. It accumulates. The prison is so vast that inmates are transported by bus just to move between areas. There are multiple camps spread across the grounds, each functioning like a small prison within the larger one. Some inmates will never see another camp. Some will never leave the one they entered. Others will move only once, when they are transferred to the prison hospital to die. Angola operates its own power plant, water treatment facility, fire department, and even a radio station. It is a self-contained world, cut off from the outside not just by fences, but by distance, routine, and psychological isolation. For many inmates, families stop visiting after years pass. The drive is long, the environment intimidating, and hope erodes over time. Eventually, Angola becomes the only reality left. The day at Angola begins early. Before sunrise, long before the heat settles in, inmates assigned to field work are already awake. They dress in identical uniforms and line up under the watch of armed guards on horseback. The image is unsettlingly familiar. Men in rows, fields stretching endlessly ahead, rifles visible against the sky. This is not symbolic. It is functional. Angola still relies heavily on inmate labor to maintain its vast agricultural operations. In the fields, inmates grow crops like corn, soybeans, and cotton. The work is physically exhausting, repetitive, and relentless. Summer temperatures often exceed 100 degrees. Medical complaints are common. Breaks are limited. For lifers, this routine will repeat thousands of times until their bodies can no longer continue. Inside the housing units, life follows a different rhythm. Cells are small, concrete, and unforgiving. Privacy does not exist. Noise is constant, metal doors slamming, voices echoing, radios playing, arguments flaring. Tension never fully disappears. At Angola, respect is not optional. It is survival. Violence is not constant, but it is always possible. The knowledge of permanence changes behavior. When men know they are never leaving, consequences lose their power. Conflicts that might be avoided elsewhere can escalate here. Guards are present, but control is shared in subtle ways with inmate hierarchies that form naturally in closed systems. Power is negotiated daily. Yet Angola is not chaos. Order exists, but it is rigid and deeply enforced. Rules govern every movement: when to stand, when to sit, when to eat, when to speak. Inmates learn quickly that resistance brings consequences, not always immediate, but inevitable. Solitary confinement, loss of privileges, or reassignment to harsher work details can follow even minor infractions. Solitary confinement at Angola is its own world. Known as closed cell restriction, it is designed to break routine and isolate the mind. Inmates can spend years in cells the size of a bathroom, with limited human contact and little stimulation. The silence is not peaceful. It is heavy. Many who enter come out changed, quieter, older in ways that have nothing to do with time. Medical care at Angola has long been a point of controversy. While the prison operates a large hospital complex, the demand often exceeds capacity. Chronic illnesses are common, especially among aging lifers. Some inmates wait years for surgeries. Others receive treatment only when conditions become life-threatening. For many, the hospital is where life quietly ends, far from family, under fluorescent lights. Death at Angola is ordinary. Funerals are frequent. When an inmate dies, his possessions are boxed, his bunk reassigned, and life continues. There is no pause, no silence, only another empty space filled by another man serving the same sentence. Life. The prison cemetery tells its own story. Simple markers stretch across the land, many bearing only numbers instead of names. These are men whose families could not afford burial or chose not to claim the bodies. Angola buried them where they lived and died. For inmates still alive, the cemetery is a visible reminder of the future. Everyone eventually passes through it, one way or another. Despite its reputation, Angola has attempted reforms over the years. Educational programs, religious initiatives, and vocational training exist. The prison hosts a rodeo twice a year, drawing visitors from outside the walls. Inmates participate, hoping to earn money or simply feel seen. Critics argue these efforts soften the image without changing the core reality. A prison built to keep men until death. Religion plays a powerful role inside Angola. Faith-based dorms offer an alternative environment, emphasizing discipline, work, and spiritual growth. For some inmates, belief becomes the only form of freedom available. For others, it is simply another structure within an already structured life. Hope here is carefully managed. The guards at Angola live a different reality. Many come from nearby towns, some with family histories tied to the prison. For them, Angola is a workplace, not a sentence. Yet even they acknowledge its weight. Long shifts, constant vigilance, and exposure to the slow decay of human lives leave marks. Angola does not affect only inmates, it shapes everyone who passes through. What makes Angola uniquely feared is not brutality alone. It is certainty. In other prisons, there is movement, appeals, transfers, release dates. At Angola, most men arrive knowing the end from the beginning. There is no countdown, only endurance. Inmates develop coping mechanisms. Some focus on routine. Others immerse themselves in hobbies, reading, or mentorship roles. Older inmates guide younger ones, teaching them how to survive mentally as much as physically. There is an unspoken understanding among lifers. Rebellion is pointless, despair is dangerous, and time must be shaped into something livable. Yet even with adaptation, the psychological toll is immense. Depression is widespread. Anxiety simmers beneath the surface. Suicidal thoughts are not uncommon, especially in the early years of a life sentence. Angola does not rush to break men. It waits. Slowly, patiently. Visitors often describe a strange feeling when leaving Angola. Relief mixed with guilt. The gates open, the road stretches forward, and freedom resumes. Behind them, thousands remain. The prison does not chase. It does not threaten. It simply stays. Angola's reputation has spread far beyond Louisiana. It appears in documentaries, news reports, and whispered warnings within the prison system. Inmates across the country know the name. Some fear transfer their more than extended sentences elsewhere. Angola is spoken of as a place where hope goes to retire. And yet, every day, buses arrive. New inmates step onto the land, carrying property bags and disbelief. Some are young. Some still believe in appeals. Others already know. They look out across the fields at the guards on horseback at the endless horizon, and something settles in their chest. This is not a place designed for redemption. It is a place designed for containment, a place where society sends men it believes will never change, and rarely looks back to see what becomes of them. As night falls over Angola, the fields empty, the cells lock, and the sounds soften but never disappear. Somewhere a radio plays. Somewhere a man stares at the ceiling, counting years that no longer matter. The land remains still, holding every story it has ever taken. And this is only the beginning. By the time a man understands Angola, it is already too late to leave it behind. The first year inside Angola Prison is the most dangerous, not because violence is constant, but because the mind has not yet adjusted to permanence. New inmates arrive carrying habits from other prisons, expectations of transfer, thoughts of appeals, calculations about release dates. Angola dismantles those ideas slowly, methodically, until what remains is something quieter and heavier. The moment that truth settles is different for everyone. For some, it happens the first time they see the cemetery. For others, it comes during their first night, lying awake as the sounds of the prison drift through concrete walls. The metal doors, the distant shouting, the coughs of aging men whose bodies are already giving up. That is when Angola introduces itself, not loudly but honestly. Life sentences dominate the population here. Men arrive knowing that birthdays will come and go without meaning, that decades will pass measured only by physical decline. Youth disappears quickly. Angola has a way of aging men faster than time alone ever could. Faces harden, movements slow, voices lower. Hope, if it survives at all, changes shape. Every inmate learns the rules quickly, not just the written ones, but the unspoken codes that govern survival. Where to sit, when to speak, who to avoid. Angola does not tolerate ignorance for long. Mistakes are remembered, and reputations form early. Respect is currency, and weakness is expensive. Housing units vary, but the atmosphere remains the same, crowded, loud, and always alert. Cells are stacked in tiers, metal bunks bolted to the floor, thin mattresses worn down by years of use. Personal possessions are limited. Photos, letters, small radios. These become anchors to a world that feels increasingly distant with every passing year. For lifers, routine becomes protection. Wake up, count, work, eat, count again, sleep, repeat. Breaking routine invites chaos, and chaos at Angola can be fatal. Men structure their days carefully, even when those days stretch endlessly ahead. Routine is not comfort, it is defense. Work assignments shape daily life. Some inmates labor in the fields, others in kitchens, maintenance, or workshops. A few earn positions as clerks, barbers, or orderlies. Jobs are coveted not for money, which is minimal, but for movement and distraction. To work is to feel momentarily useful, to escape the crushing stillness of the cell. The fields remain Angola's most defining image. Under the sun, inmates move in lines, tools in hand, watched by guards on horseback. The symbolism is impossible to ignore, but within the prison, it is rarely discussed. Angola does not encourage reflection. It encourages compliance. The past exists here not as memory, but as structure. Inside the cell blocks, tension simmers quietly. Violence is not random, it is calculated. Fights erupt over respect, debts, insults, or perceived slights. When violence happens, it is swift and often brutal. There are no second chances for mistakes that mark weakness. Guards respond quickly, but the damage is often already done. Solitary confinement waits as both punishment and threat. Men who enter isolation describe it as time stripped of meaning. Days blur together, thoughts loop endlessly. Without routine or interaction, the mind turns inward, sometimes violently. Some inmates emerge changed. Others do not emerge at all. Broken by the silence they were forced to inhabit. Angola's lifers develop a strange relationship with death. It is not feared in the way it is outside. It is expected. When an inmate dies, word spreads quickly. Conversations pause briefly, then resume. Death here is not tragedy, it is confirmation. Another man has completed the sentence everyone else is still serving. Aging is relentless inside Angola. Men who arrived in their 20s now walk with canes. Arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, illnesses accumulate faster behind bars. Medical care exists, but patience is required and urgency is rare. Some inmates joke darkly that the prison will outlast their bodies. Often they are right. The prison hospital becomes familiar territory for older inmates. It is where friendships end, where final conversations happen, where men wait not for release, but for silence. Those who die there rarely see family. Distance, cost, and years of separation keep loved ones away. Angola becomes the last witness to lives that once mattered elsewhere. Religion fills the gaps left by lost futures. Churches operate inside the prison, led by inmates and volunteers. Services are full. Faith offers structure, forgiveness, and something Angola cannot take: belief. Some men genuinely transform. Others simply survive by believing there is something beyond these walls, even if they will never see it. The prison rodeo, held twice a year, feels surreal against this backdrop. Crowds arrive. Music plays. Inmates perform dangerous events for prize money and applause. For a moment, Angola opens its gates to the outside world. Critics call it exploitation. Supporters call it opportunity. Inmates call it a reminder that life exists somewhere else. When the rodeo ends, silence returns. Visitors leave. The gates close. The men remain. Relationships inside Angola are complex. The friendships form slowly, carefully. Trust is rare and hard-earned. Lifers often mentor younger inmates, not out of kindness, but necessity. Teaching someone how to survive reduces chaos. It preserves order. In a place without exits, stability matters more than sentiment. Guards and inmates coexist in a tense balance. Many officers work Angola for decades. They know the men by name, by history, by reputation. Boundaries are strict, but familiarity develops. Respect flows both ways when survival depends on cooperation. Still, the line is never forgotten. One side goes home, the other does not. For inmates serving life, letters from the outside become artifacts. Handwriting changes. Addresses change. Some letters stop arriving altogether. Parents die. Siblings move on. Children grow into strangers. Angola accelerates separation until the outside world feels like a story told by someone else. Mental health struggles intensify over time. Depression deepens quietly. Anxiety becomes constant. Some men retreat inward, speaking less each year. Others become volatile, anger simmering just beneath the surface. Angola does not offer easy escape from the mind. There is nowhere to run, yet survival instincts persist. Men adapt. They find meaning in small things, teaching classes, fixing radios, growing plants in makeshift gardens. Some become artists, drawing scenes they may never see again. Creativity becomes resistance, proof that the prison has not fully claimed them. Still, Angola's greatest power is patience. It does not need to rush. It does not need to punish loudly. It waits. Years pass. Appeals are denied. Legal avenues close one by one. Eventually, even the most determined inmates stop checking their case numbers. The fight exhausts itself. Transfers out of Angola are rare. Once assigned, most men remain until death. The knowledge settles deeply. Angola becomes less a place and more a condition, a state of being defined by acceptance or collapse. Those who accept survive. Those who resist often do not. Nighttime inside Angola carries its own weight. Lights dim. Cells lock. Sounds echo through the tears. Some men pray. Some replay memories. Others stare into darkness, imagining freedom in fragments. Sleep comes unevenly, interrupted by noise, pain, or dreams of places long gone. Every lifer reaches a moment of reckoning, a point where the future no longer stretches forward, but folds inward. The question is no longer when will I leave, but how will I endure? Angola demands an answer, whether spoken or not. For many, endurance becomes identity. They are no longer defined by their crimes, their pasts, or even their names. They become lifers, fixtures in the landscape, part of the prison's rhythm. Angola absorbs them slowly until their presence feels permanent. Yet beneath the routine, beneath the acceptance, something fragile remains. A memory, a regret, a name whispered only in thought. Angola can cage bodies, structure time, and erase futures, but it cannot fully erase what came before. And that fragile remnant is what Angola tests next. Angola does not end with release. It ends with silence. For most men inside the prison, the final chapter is written long before it arrives. There is no countdown, no ceremony, no sense of completion. Life inside Angola narrows slowly until the future becomes a single direction, and that direction does not lead beyond the gates. As years pass, inmates begin to disappear, not through transfer or parole, but through absence. One bunk stays empty. One voice no longer answers count. Word spreads quietly. He passed in the night, or in the hospital, or during work. The routine absorbs the loss without pause. Angola does not stop for death. It incorporates it. The prison hospital becomes the final destination for many lifers. Some arrive walking, others carried. The rooms are small, functional, stripped of warmth. Monitors beep softly. Fluorescent lights hum. Nurses move efficiently, accustomed to endings that do not make headlines. For inmates, the hospital is not a place of healing. It is a waiting room. Few families make the journey in time. Years of separation, emotional distance, and financial strain keep many away. Some inmates stop listing emergency contacts altogether. When death comes, it is often witnessed only by strangers in uniform. Angola becomes both the place of punishment and the place of farewell. After death, the process is brief. Possessions are inventoried. Letters are boxed. Clothing is reassigned or discarded. The cell is cleaned. Another man moves in. The system continues without reflection. Angola does not memorialize its dead. It counts them. The prison cemetery lies quietly on the grounds, away from daily movement. Rows of markers stretch across the land, some engraved with names, others marked only by numbers. These are the men whose bodies were never claimed. Their families were gone, unreachable or unwilling. Angola buried them where they lived, closing the loop completely. Inmates know the cemetery well. They pass it on work details. They talk about it without emotion. It is not a threat, it is a fact. Everyone understands the arrangement. This is where it ends. Yet not all endings are physical. For some, the end comes earlier in the mind. There are inmates who continue living but withdraw entirely, their personalities fading over time. They stop speaking unless spoken to. They stop participating. They exist without engagement, moving through days without resistance or desire. Angola claims them slowly, leaving the body behind. Others fight against erasure in quieter ways. They teach classes, mentor younger inmates, write letters they know may never be answered. They refuse to disappear completely. These men understand that Angola measures success differently. Survival is not release, it is preservation. Occasionally, a rare exception breaks the pattern. A life sentence is overturned. A parole hearing grants mercy. When it happens, the prison reacts cautiously, almost skeptically. The man is processed, paperwork completed, property returned. There is no celebration. Angola does not celebrate exits. Those who leave after decades face a different sentence. The world outside moves faster than memory. Technology has changed. People have aged or vanished. Freedom feels unfamiliar, even hostile. Some former inmates describe release as disorienting rather than joyful. Angola shaped them too completely to undo easily. Inside the prison, those left behind watch these rare departures with mixed emotions. Hope flickers briefly, then fades. Most know it will never happen for them. Angola teaches realism early. Expectation is discouraged. Acceptance is rewarded. Guards age alongside the inmates. Some retire. Some die. New officers replace them, learning the same routines, enforcing the same rules. Angola outlasts individuals. It has survived generations, unchanged in purpose even when policies shift. The prison remains what it has always been, a place where society stores men it no longer knows what to do with. Outside, Angola's image continues to circulate. Documentaries, articles, debates. Reforms are discussed. Conditions are examined. Yet the core remains untouched. Thousands of men wake up each day knowing the outcome is already decided. Angola does not ask who they are now. It remembers only why they arrived. At night, when the prison settles into its lowest hum, thoughts grow louder. Memories surface uninvited. Faces long gone reappear. Regret takes shape. Angola offers no distraction from reflection. In the absence of future, the past becomes relentless. Some men make peace with it. They speak calmly about their crimes, their lives, their fate. They accept responsibility and settle into endurance. Others never reconcile. They replay moments endlessly, searching for exits that no longer exist. Angola accommodates both responses equally. It does not judge. It waits. The land itself seems indifferent. The fields continue to grow. Seasons pass. The Mississippi River bends and flows nearby, unchanged by the lives contained along its edge. Angola remains rooted in the soil, absorbing stories without releasing them. In time, even fear dulls. New inmates arrive frightened. Old inmates watch quietly, recognizing the look. They know what is coming, not immediately, but inevitably. Angola does not rush understanding. It allows it to arrive on its own. When a man dies inside Angola, the prison does not announce it to the world. There is no headline, no public mourning. Just a record updated, a number added, a space filled. Outside, life continues unaware. Inside, life continues unchanged. That is Angola's final truth. Not cruelty alone, not violence alone, but permanence. A place where punishment is not measured in years, but in existence. Where time is not served, but endured. Where the sentence does not end, it settles. Angola does not need high walls to keep men inside. It relies on certainty, on distance, on the slow erosion of expectation. By the time most inmates understand this, escape, physical or mental, is no longer the goal. Only survival remains. And for many, even that becomes optional. When the gates close each evening and the lights dim, Angola returns to what it has always been. A vast, quiet system holding thousands of lives in suspension. A prison that does not release men back into the world, but absorbs them into itself. In Angola, life means life. And when it finally ends, the prison barely notices.